What's up, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. I am joined by Mr. Action himself, Luke Jackson. For those of you who don't know Luke, he's a very accomplished boxer, competing in everything from state titles to national titles, the Oceania titles, and then competing in the Commonwealth Games before reaching the pinnacle of his career, which was to captain the 2012 Australian boxing team. How are you, brother?
G'day, brother. I'm good, man. How are you? It's been a minute.
What can I say? Everyone's been hiding indoors except for you. You seem to be really busy out there.
Brother, I've as the world fell apart, I started to come together again. So everything's been good, man. I've really enjoyed this time. Just to work on a few things, and as you said, I've been really busy training people, and training myself and focusing on myself and figuring out what the next move is.
So I guess, what is the next move at the moment? I mean, last I remember you were actually in the middle of fight camp. You had a fight lined up, I think it was for the 24th of April.
Yep.
Where are we now?
Okay, so I was supposed to fight the 24th of April, as you said. That got cancelled because of COVID, but I kept training and yeah, man. Last I heard we could be maybe fighting in July, hopefully. But we'll just have to wait and see, man. I just stayed ready and stayed busy, stayed focused, and stayed, training and working a lot, which has been great and helping a lot of people in this tough time. And also on the night that I was supposed to fight, I done the David Goggins run challenge. So that gave me something to focus on, which is great.
So how did you come across the David Goggins running challenge? I mean, for me, it was kind of amazing because when you started doing that, I was like, you know what, like it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And the reason that is when I used to do my runs, this before I busted my knees, I was doing 10K runs.
Yeah.
But I was doing one 10K run.
Yeah.
And I was like, 6.5, you'll do that easily, right? Yeah. And before you knew it, I kind of did the math and I realized that once you do 6.5 and what is it, 6 times a day, you're pretty much running a marathon a day for 2 days straight. Tell me more about that.
So I come across David Goggins. Obviously, I do, watch a lot of inspiring people, and he's one of them. So he does this run challenge. It's called the 4-4-48, and that he does this every year. He does this once a year. So every 4 hours he has to run 4 miles, and he does this for 48 hours. So 4 miles is 6.4 Ks. So I just rounded off to 6.5 to make sure I hit the target, and and I started on the Friday night, the night that I was supposed to fight, and I finished up on the Sunday. So, as you said, the run was easy for me, but, backing it up and, no sleep. You average about an hour sleep between runs, so your body's tired, your legs are tired and sore, but there's no problem for me. The hardest thing for me was setting the alarm and making sure that I woke up, because I was actually a bit paranoid that I'd sleep through it and fuck the challenge up. So, it was harder for me to stop. Once I start something, I wanted to keep going, and so I ended up doing 13, and then pulled the pin on it. But the next day, the day after, on the Monday, I was really emotional and really down and a bit flat, to be honest with you. So, but that happens after my fights as well. So, I do life better when I've got something to focus on. Everything seems a little bit clearer to me, and that was just another time that I felt amazing. So
nice. So I guess with that, I'd like to know, like, obviously, 6.5 you're doing it roughly in about half an hour, 35 minutes?
30 minutes, yeah.
So I guess you do 35 minutes by the time you get home, a good hour's gone. Which kind of leaves you 3 hours until the very next one. Like,
you have a shower.
What was the routine, and how much sleep were you actually getting in between those runs?
Well, I'd get back, I'd have a shower, you know, some food, some water, and then just depends what time it was. If it was like the 4 a.m. one, you know, I'd go straight to bed. If it was the 8 a.m. or you know, the 12, I'd you know, get a coffee or chill out a bit and see the, you know, hang with the dogs or a couple of mates or whatever. But you know, or the 12 a.m. and the 4s, I was just pretty much showering straight back to bed. But the others, I was just, you know, doing my thing, man. Chilling out, relaxing, watching TV, and fuck, I love that. I love just being in my own bubble, and I just put a block on work for a couple of days and just focus on me, man. That's when I'm at my happiest. When I just, you know, it's like you're in a little bubble. It's nothing else matters. So for 48 hours, I was living like that, and nothing else mattered but this run. That's all I had to worry about. I didn't think about anything else. It's just fucking good.
And did the legs ever give way? Like, what was there a point in that 48 hours where you kind of like, oh, maybe?
Nah, never.
No?
Never, brother. Never do I think like that. Someone asked me the other day, like, with a fight, like, you know, how do you think about keeping on going and that? And I'm like, it never comes across my mind. You know, like, if it comes across your mind, maybe that's when you do it. But I've never thought about fucking quitting or anything. You know, like, the closest it's ever come to is me pleading with my coach, Billy Hussein, not to stop the fight. That's because he's like wanted to stop the fight against Frampton to save me because I was getting a beating. But I said, please don't stop the fight. You know, let me go out, let me get knocked out, let me go out on my shield. You know, so never once. Yeah, fuck, my legs were sore, man. My ankles were cracking, my hamstrings were torn. But for the first K, it was hard, and then afterwards, you know, I find my rhythm. But yeah, I always knew I was going to finish it, and actually, I always knew I was going to do one extra or two extra.
And were you surprised with the amount of support you got? Because, I mean, you obviously got the idea from Dave Goggins. And since then, you know, you're always quite active on social medias. And I've seen that a lot of, I don't know, young'uns have really gotten onto this challenge now too. Obviously, you're reposting the stuff. And then there were even some guys that were joining you at 4 a.m. in the morning for some of these runs. Were you surprised with the amount of support you got with that?
Of course, man. Like, boxing's a small community, you know, and unfortunately, you know, everyone gets on everyone's ass from time to time. You know, like, you cop a lot of you know, backlash on social media, man. Like, and I've copped plenty. And you know, the thing about fighters is we just do as we're told, man. We're pretty crazy creatures, you know. We just train and we fight, man. And any fighter out there knows this. And sometimes you get matched with fighters that you know you're supposed to beat, and that's the way it is, man. You just do your job. But unfortunately, with that comes a lot of backlash, and sometimes the fighters give other fighters backlash, and I hate to see it. And I've copped it from other fighters and that, and it's shit. But one thing about this is everyone got behind me, man, and everyone, you know, I had a lot of messages from a lot of fighters around the country, you know, and it was so good to see. And then, you know, some of them went on to do it themselves, and you know, saying that I inspired them to do it, which made me feel really good, you know. And you know, my mate Darryl Foley, one morning I was out at the 4 a.m. run, and I was standing there waiting for the clock to tick over so I could start, and I heard, "Let's go, champ. Let's go, champ."
So he didn't tell you he was coming?
No. And I see this fucking guy walking down the road, and I was like, who the fuck is that? I was like, Darryl Foley. He's like, man, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I was looking at your Instagram last night, and I was like, he missed the story, like the whole thing. He's like, this motherfucker's crazy. He's crazy, this motherfucker. He goes, I'm going to meet him at 4 a.m. to do the run with him. So anyway, he ended up going on to do his own challenge, a little bit different. So he did 5Ks every 4 hours for 48 hours, but he had to set a time that he could run them. So like, he fucking smashed them, bro. He was running like under 20 minutes, you know, like 4-minute Ks or something, like back to back to back, like which is solid. So Darryl Foley, massive shout out to you, brother, and just for being a good guy, man. One of the good guys at boxing, Darryl Super Foley.
So I heard that you actually want to do the Goggins challenge again, but you want to kind of create your own little twist. And I mean, maybe Dave will see it and step up to the plate as well, right?
Yeah, well, I'm sure he will. I'm sure. Look, David Goggins is a madman. He's been messaging me a bit, and I asked him some advice on some different challenges to do and that, and he said, "Look, step it up, raise it up, brother. Let's go." So I'm gonna do a challenge. It's called 5575. So every 5 hours, I run 5 miles.
Which converts to how many kilometers?
8 kilometers. Right. So, but I'm going to do it for 75 hours.
Damn.
So it's a long fucking time. So why not? There's no fights coming up just yet. So look, we've just got to get a few things ready. I'm going to do it for charity. I'm going to raise some funds for mental illness. Just trying to figure out a few things. I've got some people trying to work out some stuff. So, where we can send the money to and all that sort of stuff. So we're just waiting to drop it, but it will be soon, within the week or two. And every 5 hours I run 5 miles, which is 8 kilometers for 75 hours. And all the money raised will go to a charity that we choose, and one that's close to my heart is mental illness. So we just got to pick what one we're going to use and go from there, brother.
Now, I guess the mental illness side is close to your heart because, you've never tried to keep it under wraps. You've dealt with it for a very long time. So I guess this is perfect time to kind of like go back, like way back.
Way back.
So I guess if you want to, fill people in a little bit about, you, Luke Jackson, as a kid growing up in a little place called Tasmania.
Yep.
For people that don't know, obviously Australians know this, but for people that don't know, it's this little triangle that's at the bottom of Australia. I wouldn't even know what the population is. You might know. I don't know. But
500,000, I think. I don't know.
So what was Luke Jackson like as a kid?
Well, to be honest with you, the first thing when I think about my childhood, the first thing that comes to my mind is chaos. It was very chaotic. There was no structure. There was no structure. I felt like there was no routine or love or anything. It was very just chaotic, man. I remember a lot of things, but like one thing that sticks in my head is just running out of my house. Running. I don't know where the fuck I was running. I was woken up, man. My sister, she's 11 months older than me at the time. We was only kids, man, and we're just running. I don't know where we was running, but we were running, and we end up outside of the house, sitting down at a fence, and it was that cold. I had like my socks on my hands because I was really my hands were cold, and look, I don't know why we were there or what, and fuck, I still don't know anything about it, but I just remember running, man, and then being in and out of care a lot, speaking to my mum on the phone, asking when I can come home, and little things like, it's crazy the shit you remember as a kid, man. Like I remember being at some place's someone's house, and I didn't want to stay there, but the lady said, if that I had to stay there, and I'm like, I don't want to. And then I remember saying, I'll stay if I could sleep in my clothes, because I was only a kid. I thought that was pretty cool if I could sleep in my clothes. And she said, you can sleep in your clothes. So I did, and that's the reason I stayed there. And I just remember like being fed this fucking food like Heinz spaghetti, and they used to cut bread up and put bread in it, and the bread would go real soggy in the fucking spaghetti, and I used to have to eat that. Like just little things like that, man. Like I just remember that shit. Unfortunately, you just always remember the negative stuff about anything, and there was not much positive things to come out of my childhood that I can remember, to be honest with you. And and I like to sort of leave it there. I don't really think about it that much. I don't like to think about it. When I do talk about it, I get a bit sweaty and hot, and but yeah, I sort of blocked it out, man. From a young age, I blocked it out.
So, I guess from that point of view, you then found boxing, or boxing found you. Like, you're a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to the sport.
Yep.
Obviously, walking into the gym, I think you said you were 18.
Yep.
What were the circumstances there? Was it just something that you were trying to go straight and narrow, or has boxing? I mean, even though you only picked it up when you were 18. Has it always been something that you've been, involved with, i.e., were you a fan before, or was it just something that you needed to have an outlet?
Well, I get asked this question a lot, like, because obviously once I got a little bit older, my dad took me back. My dad took care of me, and then my dad had a wife, which is still his wife now, nice lady, and then he was living with her, so I was living by myself, man, from like the fucking age of 11 or 12, smoking weed, just smoking weed, living by myself the whole time. My other brothers and sisters got kicked out because they got caught smoking weed. I was a bit smarter. So yeah, I used to live by myself, man, and I used to spend a lot of time by myself, and that's where a lot of my issues went unnoticed. And I used to watch a lot of movies, Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, and Van Damme, and I just remember like being like in the house, like honestly pretending I was fighting people all the time, like crazy.
Did you used to get into fights as a kid?
Yeah, I got into a lot of fights as a kid, man. I thought I was a lot tougher and harder than what I fucking actually was. I mean, now that I know fighting, and I know how to fight, I actually had not much of an idea back then, but I thought I did, and I bluffed a lot of people, bluffed a lot of fucking people.
And I mean, looks are deceiving, right? I mean,
They are, man.
You look at someone like yourself. I mean, you must be what, 5'7", 5'8"?
Oh, mate, I took centimeters, 169.
Okay, 169. But then you watch yourself step into a ring, and it's kind of like you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yeah, and I'll smash you. Yeah, look, I loved fighting. I just love fighting, man. I love fighting, and the main reason I started boxing, to be honest with you, is because I was out, doing my thing, and there was these guys, Nathan and Chris Polly. They these guys that used to be around, the scene, and everyone used to look at them, and I'm thinking, fuck, that's cool. They get a bit of respect, I like this, and I always wanted attention because I never got it as a kid. But like, I just wanted attention from someone, and I never got it. So I'm like, fuck, I'm going to go to the gym with them and see how it goes. And I was a natural, man. They said I was a natural, and I picked it up really quickly. And I remember hitting the pads up there one day, and Chris Polly said to me, he goes, I feel sorry for the first guy that's going to fight you for his first fight. Because I was leaps and bounds, everyone. And my first fight, I fought a guy named Cater Moore. And, I smashed him. He hit me with a left hook, though, in the second round to give me a concussion. I don't remember much after that, but I still smashed him. I just threw 4 punches down the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Didn't hit the body, didn't hit nothing, and won the fight. I was so scared before the fight. So scared. And then after the fight, I don't remember the drive home. I don't remember anything, but I was happy. I know that.
Was there ever a time when you were back there for your first fight that you were just like, what am I getting myself into?
Brother, I wanted to get the fuck out of there. I remember this guy, because I was working for my dad at the time, and they always used to tease me, man, say, oh, you're going to get knocked out first round, you're going to get smashed, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. And it used to make me so angry. And then I just smashed this guy in my fight. And then I went back to work on Monday. I said, yeah, fucking how'd it go? Who got smashed? Wasn't fucking me. So I had a point to prove, and I proved it.
And then obviously you went on from there. As I mentioned in the intro, you got state titles, you got national titles, and then obviously Commonwealth Games, and then the big one for you, right, which was the Olympic Games. How was that campaign? How was it taking on the captaincy? I mean, you call it the highlight of your career, even though technically you're still an amateur at this point.
Yep. Well, after once I started boxing, and it took off for me pretty quick. I was still drinking and that, and then I lost my third fight, and that's when I go, fuck it, I'm gonna change my life. If I want to do this properly, then I gotta make some sacrifices. And yeah, man, I stopped drinking and started training hard, and then it took off. I won the Australian title and I won selection for the Commonwealth Games in 2006, and then went on to win a medal for Australia in like 10 fights, 13 fights or something. It's fucking crazy, absolutely crazy.
And how was the Olympic campaign like? Obviously, how did you do? And you know, you obviously went pro after the Olympics, which meant, you know, that was your Olympic, I guess, career done and dusted. But yeah, how did you think that campaign went?
Well, you know, after I won the bronze at the Commonwealth Games, I set out for the Beijing Olympics. I was red hot favourite to make the Beijing Olympics. I'd give up everything and move to Canberra, and I was training, you know, constantly and isolating myself in a little room similar to this size of this. Like, I'd train, I'd come back, and I'd just stay in the room, like fucking. That's all I did, and I obsessed about making the Olympics so much, and then I wasn't eating properly. And I'd already beaten this guy Paul Fleming 3 times. Okay, so I only had to beat him one more time. I was going to the Olympics. This is Beijing. So anyway, we fly to Samoa for the trials, and it's when I got there, I don't know, something in my head clicked where I go, I can't sleep properly, and then I started going crazy. I was like, I couldn't sleep, so I was there like 10 days and slept maybe 7 hours, or 7 days and slept 10 hours. It was fucking craziness, like fuck all. And then I won 2 fights. I stopped one guy and beat the other one pretty easy. And I fought Paul in the final and lost by 2 points. So my Olympic campaign for 2008 was over, and they flew me straight home, packed my suitcase, and flew me straight home to fucking Tasmania. That was it. Bye bye. They don't want to know you anymore. And
That's rough.
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. So then I went home and I was really down, and I remember thinking to myself, why am I feeling this way still when the Olympic campaign is over? I just was always feeling really bad and couldn't catch my breath properly. And like felt like, I don't know, I just felt like I was suffocating inside and couldn't breathe. And then I went to the doctor. And I said, you know, I'm feeling like shit, and I thought it was the pressure of making Olympics, but I missed out, so the pressure should be gone. So why am I still feeling like this? And I said, like, if you don't do something, then I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I can't live another day like this because it's just fucking torture. And he diagnosed me, reckons I had like a small case of anxiety or something. So he gave me some medication, and it sort of helped a little bit, to be honest with you, to start with, and then you know, I got on with my life after missing out the Olympics in 2008. Then I had no education. I had nothing but and you know, my dad always said fuck boxing, like focus on your career, you know, get a job, get this. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I went back home after missing out, and I was looking at my dad. It was like my dad said, I told you so, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I told you so. Like, he didn't say it, but I knew that's what he was thinking. And so then I had no education. I didn't know what I was going to do. So we went to TAFE together, me and my dad, and we got an asbestos license together. Like, my dad sitting side by side with me. Like, it was the fucking best memories forever, man. And we both got our license, and I opened up a fucking little asbestos business called Jackson Asbestos and Roofing, right? And my dad had Just Roofing, and me and my dad had got different last names, right? So my dad's Tony Pettit, and I'm Luke Jackson, right? So we'd be in the car together, and someone would call, and I'd call Dad and say, "Hey, I'm after a quote for asbestos job," and Dad'd go, "Yeah, no worries. It's this," and then they'd ring me to say, "Hey," and I say, "Hey, it's Luke from Jackson Asbestos and Roofing," and they go, "Oh, we're after a job." So they're calling us. They're trying to get the best price, and my dad would say, "Right, son, I'll go in at say 10,000. You go in at 9.5, so you get the job." So I was fucking making good money, brother. Like, I was making great money. Brought myself a house, brought myself a car, brought everything, and life was good, man. But I still didn't have that Olympics, so I was still a little bit down.
And did you ever want to try again? Because I mean, some of these Olympians, you sometimes see they do 2, 3 Olympics. Was it ever a goal to go that again, or was that just as you say, you obviously had a goal in mind, you achieved that goal, and it was time to move on to the next chapter?
Well, we're talking about Beijing. That's the one I missed out on. So I missed out on Beijing, and all this happened after Beijing. So and then, I wanted to achieve the Olympics, and so I got the house and got everything, and I had a girlfriend at the time. Life was pretty happy, to be honest with you. Everything I wanted, I had, except the Olympics. And I decided I was going to start boxing at the high level again. And so I went up a division. I went to 60 kilos because as an amateur, I was 57. And everyone said that I couldn't make it at 60. I was too small. They're too big. They're too strong. Anyway, I went to the Australian titles and smashed them all. So I beat them all easily. No problems. And then went to Commonwealth Games in 2010 and was named team captain for that. And then after that, that's when I'll go, you know what? I'm going to try and make the Olympics. I'm going to have another crack at that. And that's what I did. And I set my fucking goal on it again. And I fucking went at it. I went at it hard. The AOS rang me. They said, we want you to come back to the AOS. But I said, no, because you dropped me back in 2008. I'm not coming back. I'll do it myself. So I did it myself in my dad's garage. I made the Olympics in my dad's garage, training from nothing. And I made it.
It's funny, right? Because as they always say, never forget, and that obviously stuck with you for a little while.
Fucking oath, brother. I was fucking bawling my eyes out after missing out on the Olympics, crying. They put me on a plane with my suitcase and flew me straight from Samoa to fucking Hobart, Tasmania. After I'd lived in Canberra for fucking 3 years, brother, dedicated my life to the sport up there, and just that's it. And then once I come back and I made won the Australian titles again, I'll come back to the AS. And nope, not happening. Fuck that.
Did you ever think about just tossing in the towel and being done with it, with the sport?
Of course, brother. Many times, but after I missed out on Beijing, people don't know this, but I come back and then I started training again, and I had a bad back injury. I had a stress fracture in my L5, and I didn't listen to it. The doctors, they said rest, and I didn't rest, and then fucking bang, L5, fracture in my L5. Was out for 6 months, couldn't do anything, but I sat on an exercise bike and pedalled for fucking 6 months on an exercise bike. And I started training these young kids to keep my mind stimulated with the box and teaching them. And then I come back to go again for the national titles in Sydney and broke my fucking left hand on someone's elbow, sparring, and then that was out. So then, I didn't fight in over a year, but I was still training, and I had a bad back injury, had a broken hand, and then still come back and still smashed everyone in a weight division above me at the Australian titles, and then went to the Commonwealth Games as team captain, and then went on again and made the Olympic Games. So 4 years later, it took me. Fucking hell, mate. That you wouldn't read about that shit. That shit, and a lot of mental illness as well along the way. It was crazy. And a funny story, because at the time when the trials were on, it was in Canberra, and my girlfriend at the time, I said, right, fly up. I flew up 2 weeks before the last sparring session, and I got this apartment at the AOS. So it's like a bungalow thing. You go down, it's got the kitchen, everything, and the room. And I'm like, I'll get this room. And then, I had the sparring on the weekend, and I'd done everything like clockwork and wrote it down in my diary. Okay, we're sparring today, sparring today, sleep good, sparring today, sleep good. So I just back to back sparring sessions. So then I'm like, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to do the exact same thing, just, like clockwork, And my girlfriend comes up 2 weeks after, and I went to book the room, and I went to book the room at the reception. I said, I would need this room. And they go, no, it's booked. I'm like, no, I need the room. And she's like, no, it's booked. I said, no, you don't understand. I need that fucking room. This is, and then I explained the story about it. Anyway, we got the room, and I had a bit of a cold. So the doctors give me some antibiotics. And one thing I found out after this is the antibiotics fuck on my stomach. So I get bad diarrhea, and my stomach bleeds from the antibiotics. So fuck me dead. I'm thinking, fuck, it's not going to happen again. Is it like 4 years later? Like, fuck, I'm sleeping okay, but I'm shitting blood. Like, the antibiotics is fucking me. Anyway, I had 2 fights, one easily, stopped one, smashed the other one, and then I fought a guy named Chad Milnes in the final, and man, fuck, nothing would have stopped me that day. Nothing would have stopped me that day. I felt so good, and I remember coming back after the first round. It was, I was a couple of points up, and then after the second, I just broke him down. And the third round, I went in, and I was easy. I could have just boxed a move, but I just walked him down and just fought him, and brother, I could have fought 20 rounds that day. I was so fit, I was so good, and then after the fight, I just went over to the and I just pointed out at my dad in the fucking crowd because I was like, what I've fucking been through to make this happen, and it was the best day of my life. And the next day I went to the zoo, the zoo in Canberra. Best day of my fucking life, best day of my life. And I was like, I'm an Olympian. I woke up an Olympian. Finally, I'm an Olympian, and I went to the fucking zoo, and it was the best day of my fucking life. I seen these little fucking animals. I was just like, man, I'm so happy. The best.
And I guess it's kind of like a crazy journey for you as well, right? Because, your doctors are saying you need to slow down a little. Obviously, you're dealing with your mental issues as well. And I guess that leads me to the next thing, which is like, do you ever feel, you hear a lot of these pros or legends, and they say it's an obsession. You have to be obsessed with the sport. I mean, you can get to a certain point, but if you want to excel, you have to be obsessed. But then there's also such a thing of overtraining, I guess, and fatiguing yourself out. But if you, I guess, sit out for a little while, your head starts playing games with you because you've got too much time to think.
Of course.
So, like, do you believe that there's such a thing as overtraining, or do you just push through? Like, how does that all work for you?
Okay, so right now I can't overtrain because I'm eating. Okay, so when I can eat what I want, I can train all day because your body recovers from the food, But when I'm making weight and I'm cutting weight, people don't understand how much weight fighters have to cut. You understand because you love the sport. And brother, you've done it. You lived and breathed it. Like, it's fucking brutal. So you can't recover when you're cutting weight, brother. So you have to take, when I'm in deep camp, I'll take maybe 1 or 2 days, full days off training a week. So very like full rest day, nothing. But now, fuck, brother, I'll just keep training and I'll listen to the body. If my arms are sore, I'll use my legs. If my legs are sore, I'll use my arms. If my back's sore, I'll use my stomach. Nah, look, like, you just got to listen to your body. And I'm 35 now, and I've been doing this, consistently training for nearly 20 years. So a long fucking time.
And how many amateur fights did you have? It was like 113.
Yeah, about 120, something like that. Yeah, 113, 120. Yeah, but 80 odd international. Against the big boys, and they're all against men. Because I started late, they're all against men, no senior fucking fights. That's a big difference, brother.
And what is it about? I've dealt with a lot of MMA guys, but like, what is it with boxing and keeping that amateur record so long? Because in the MMA world, obviously, like, a lot of these guys that have maybe 5, 8 amateur fights, and then they sort of turn pro, because at the end of the day, as all combat athletes say, it's about prize fighting. I mean, you've got to make a living. So why do you find that you guys, specifically in boxing, stay so long in the amateur circuit?
Well, brother, I never wanted to turn pro. My goal was to make the Olympics, and after I did make the Olympics, I get out of the ring, and this reporter comes up and goes, "Oh, what's it taken for you to get to this moment?" And I just come out of it. Like, it just come out because no one knew that I had any mental issues. Not even my dad. My missus at the time knew, but she didn't know, and I didn't even really know. I was told her I had anxiety, but I come out and I said, "Look, I've been through this, that. I take medication, this and that." And I remember I used to say this prayer, brother, every day. Dear Lord, let me make the Olympic Games and I'll die 2 weeks later. I used to say that fucking, mate, I'm not even talking shit, 100, 200 times a day in my head. And I used to say it, and I didn't know whether it was true or not, but I used to say it. And it just made me feel at ease, brother. It made me feel like I was going to make it. And I don't give a fuck, it worked. So, with a lot of hard work and a lot of everything. So the only reason I turned pro, brother, is because after the Olympics, I come home and the girl that I was with, I had a bad breakup. It wasn't bad. I keep saying bad, but it was just a breakup that, people break up every day, but I took it really bad. And I started drinking and doing a lot of drugs, brother. And it was either I was trying to self-sabotage, self-destruction. And it was either do boxing or fucking end up dead. So I chose to turn professional. And that's the only reason I did, is because I was dealing with some issues at the time.
And I guess you turned professional. First you lasted the 2 weeks after the Olympics. Yeah. So that was a check, and then you probably thought,
I'm still here.
And then you probably thought, what am I going to do next? You turned professional.
Yeah.
And even then, you moved to Sydney, obviously, as well, and you had a pretty impressive record. It's still impressive. You went. What was it by the time you went over to Ireland? It was 18-0?
16-0.
16-0. Then you obviously went across to the big boys.
The big boys.
Right.
Welcome to the fucking big boys.
Right. And was that the biggest crowd you fought in front of, 24,000?
Yeah. Huge.
And out of the 24,000, probably 23,750 were screaming Irish fans.
Yeah.
So you had a lot on your shoulders, right? Like, what was that experience like? Like,
everyone keeps asking the same question, like, how was the fans and that? And I'm like, okay, picture this. Picture a lot of cheers and all that. Okay, so yeah, go Luke. And then picture also booing. Fuck you, Luke. Yeah. Either way you put it, it's fucking noise, isn't it? It's noise. It's loud. So if you can deal with loud noise, you're sweet, brother. I didn't give a fuck about it. The crowd didn't affect me. You know what affected me?
What's that?
Carl's fucking punches to the head and to the body affected me.
But is there anything that can prepare you for that kind of noise? Because whether the noise was for you or against you, like you obviously have never been, or was the Olympic noise kind of
look, I've fought in front of big crowds, brother. I've fought in front of big crowds, and I'm very, very experienced. I'm a very experienced fighter. You either sink or swim, brother. That night I sunk. Fucking hell, I sunk. But look, it is what it is, brother. I live to fight another day, and we're coming for that another big fight. So.
And obviously you lost that fight. Would you consider him your toughest opponent today?
Yeah, 100%. Kyle's punches didn't hurt me at all. He busted my eardrum in round 2, my other one in round 4, smashed my eye, I couldn't see out of it, and dropped me with a body shot in round 8. I remember going back to the corner and my coach Billy saying, "Oh, we're gonna if you keep getting hit, we're gonna." I said, "Don't you fucking stop it, don't." I said, "Please, brother, don't stop it. Let me go out of my shield. Let me fucking go out. Let me just go. Let me ride this shit out." And he did. He gave me an opportunity, but then eventually he stopped the fight when at least I finished on my feet. I'm a fighter, man. And
I guess that's always the dangerous point, right? Because fighters have a fighter mentality, and they always say, "I want to go out on the shield," but we see it so often where I find that corners aren't stepping in
you gotta have
quick enough.
You got to have a good corner, brother, because we're fighters. We want to just keep fighting. We're not normal, brother. Any fighter, any sport, we're not normal. And then on top of that, I've got my fucking demons, bro. So,
Looking back on it though, do you agree with Billy's decision?
Of course I do. Of course I do. I wish I had have fought a bit different, but listen, I always said I'd never be that guy that sat at a pub when he's 60, 70 years old and say, "Oh, I could have done this if I'd have done that." Listen, I did it because I fucking did it, or I didn't because I didn't. I made the Olympic Games and I fought for a world title. I won a bronze for Australia at the Commonwealth Games. I fought for two world championships. I was captain of the Australian team for many years. I've had a great professional career. I fought for a world title, Australian titles, regional titles, and it's still going. I want another big fight, and hopefully I can add to that already good resume. But if not, then fuck it, Bella. I've done more than what I ever thought I could. Come a kid in and out of care, high school dropout into drugs. And I've done well for myself, and the journey's not over just yet.
And since then, you've obviously changed teams. You've found yourself a new coach. Is that to do with, obviously, did you feel like Billy took you to a certain point and you needed to change things up a little bit, or why the change of camp now? Obviously, because together you guys were able to get to that world title.
Yeah.
So what's this kind of thought process there?
Well, a lot of things, but me and Billy come to an agreement that we both, done what we could, and it's time for me to move on. And I thank Billy the same for everything he done for me. And Team Body Punch, Hussey Hussein and Skinny Hussein, great people. And all the boys at Body Punch Gym. So it was just time for a change, brother. That's all. And I thank Billy for everything he's done for me in the past. And I'm working out of Woolloomooloo boxing now. And I've got my long time trainer Grant Brown. Is like a brother to me. He's in my corner still. So for the fights, he'll come up and for training camps, he'll come in and up, in and out. And I've got a guy named Tomo that's helping me as well, which is a very, very good guy. And I'm just happy, brother. That's I'm fucking happy for once. I went through a rough patch last year, and I'm finally feeling good.
And obviously, the one good thing about Body Punch is the level of sparring partners you were able to receive there. Are you going to still bring some of those, like your Billy Dibbs and Mundine? I mean, you had Sam Goodman out there, and are you still bringing those sparring partners in, or you change camps, new partners, like a fresh slate?
No, look, we'll still all work together. Boxing's a small community, brother. We'll all still work together, and the boys all work together still. We're all still going to work together and get that work in, and we help each other. So, if anything, it just gives me more of an opportunity to spread out, and do more than what I was. So, it's all positive, brother. All positivity.
And everything's kind of been put on hold at the moment because of the coronavirus. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're in sport, business, everything's kind of on lockdown at the moment. You're obviously keeping fit, you're keeping healthy. But what is the future plan at the moment? Like, obviously, I know that you're wanting to give a world title one more shot. How many fights do you think you're kind of off potentially going for another title? So what's the kind of plan, like, coming out of this lockdown?
Well, the plan is to fight ASAP. I'm ready to go. I told my manager, Michael Tamura, get me a shot at anyone from 126 to 135. I'll fight anyone with the belt or for the money. In Australia, there's talk that I could be fighting, I don't know, a guy named Jai Alexander's. Apparently his team wanted to fight or something. I said, yeah, let's make it happen at 130. Maybe on the Zoo Horn undercard, we could get that down. Fight for a regional belt. I like Jai, very nice kid, and good young fighter, so we could make that fight happen. But look, yeah, whatever, but I'm ready to go. I'm fit. I'm firing. I feel I found a new love for the sport and life. A new love for life, I should say, not the sport. I've always loved the sport, but I love my life at the minute. So, I'm very happy. Like, I've been through some shit in my time, man. After Olympics and that, when I thought I had anxiety and that, I went through a real rough patch, and finally a close friend of mine saying I was really down, and I ended up going to see the doctor, and they sent me to a specialist, Dr. Michael Davies. He's a psychiatrist, and he brought me back to the basics, but to the core of where my childhood, and asked me a lot of questions, and I seen him for a bit. So then they eventually, after seeing me for a while, diagnosed me with OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. And a lot of people think OCD is just cleaning and touching stuff, and it is, man. Like I remember as a kid in my room, my mum used to come in and out and turn the fucking light on and off like heaps of times, and then she'd go to the door, lock it, unlock it, lock it, unlock it, lock it, unlock it, and the stove on and off, on and off, on and off, and like this is just stuff that I remember as a kid, and then it come to me, like I used to count numbers all the time. 7 was my number, and then like I'd touch stuff, I'd walk past something, and if I didn't go back and touch it, I thought something bad was going to happen. But then the process changes as you get older. Like, I'd drive from one light post to the next with my eyes closed, see if I could make it to the next light post with my eyes closed. And a lot of the shit, like my childhood, I sort of blocked it out and I stopped thinking about it. But like when I was at the Carl Frampton fight, BBC done an interview on me and they asked me about it, and like it all just started coming back to me. And like I remember I used to go out drink a lot, and I used to come back and I'd have a crossbow in my house, and I used to load the fucking thing up and go into my bathroom and point the crossbow in my fucking mouth and egg myself on to pull the fucking trigger, and like abuse myself and say, come on, fucking do it. And like I did that for like hours, brother, off my fucking head. And obviously I never pulled the trigger, thank God. And but it was just issues like that I had, and then I had this thing where I had to go like that and couldn't catch my breath. And if I couldn't catch it, it'd start pissing me off, and I'd have to keep doing it. And then the more I'd do it, the more I couldn't catch it, and the more I'd overthink it. And then it was really bad, mate. Like there's times at the OS I used to sit down in the fucking shower for like an hour trying to catch my breath, and I'd be really bad to the point like I'd nearly start crying. Like I'd have to go to the doctors and say, I can't breathe. And they just said, yeah, it's probably pressure trying to make the Olympics. And that's the thing, after I missed out, it was still there, And then, anyway, Dr. Michael Davies gave me some medication. And the thing was, I had a lot of suicidal thoughts, and I used to think about killing myself a lot. And even though I was happy, like I'd be lying in bed going, mate, you made the Olympics. Like, that's all you ever wanted. Why are you fucking upset? Like, why are you thinking about fucking tying a rope around the fucking manhole and jumping out and killing yourself? Like, it doesn't make sense, brother. What's going on? And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And it goes back to, because when I was a kid, I had as I said, I'd never had much attention, and I had this guy, Graham, his name was, my mum's boyfriend at the time, and he used to kick the football with me all the time, and I loved footy as a kid. I used to kick footy with me all the time, and one day he left, and he always used to wear sunglasses, and he left his sunglasses there on my mum's coffee table, and I said, Mum, Graham's left his sunglasses. And the next day or so, they found him dead. He'd hung himself in his bathroom in his house, and that affected me a lot. I'm like, what is going on? And then, after that, my sister had a different dad to me, and then he killed himself. Like, it happened around the same time. I can't remember exactly the timing of it, but it was very close. So as a kid, I thought about suicide a lot. Like, is this what people do, or is this? I'm not sure. Like, if I just didn't know, man, and so I thought about it every day for my whole life, and then I was obsessing about doing it as well. So I had to speak to the psychiatrist about this, and he sent me to an OCD specialist. Her name was Lisa, and they helped me a lot with trying to come to terms with how to control my fucking brain, which is crazy. Like, because it's your brain, so you should be in control of it, right? But
I guess sometimes it goes into autopilot. That's the thing, and I mean, that's what dreams and nightmares are too, right? Like, at the end of the day, we can't control what we dream. We can't control nightmares. So as much as we like to control our thought process, there are times where obviously the thoughts take over us, and I guess that once again goes back to the whole, like, I know when I get bad thoughts, and this is back to the overtraining and stuff, you go, I need something to focus on, because if I don't, my mind starts wandering, right?
Of course, brother.
and that's the bad thing. But going back to obviously, you know, you're wanting this. Do you think you have multiple shots left, or are you at the point in your career now where you're giving it one more run at it, or are you undecided and you'll see how it goes?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Fuck. I just want to crack. I don't want to have another crack. I'm happy. I feel good, and I've told my manager Mike Aldermura, make the fight happen. Make it happen. I want some. Listen, I want to set myself up now. I want to be smart. This year is all about me being smart, financially, business wise. I've got some big plans coming. Set myself up, brother. This is what it's about this year, and obviously to win the world title would be great, and that's what I want to do to make more money. But also business wise, I've got a few things coming, and I said always used to say by the time I'm 30, I want to be a millionaire, married, and have kids, and I haven't got any of that. So,
well, you do have one of that, which is you're 30 or you're past 30.
Yeah,
so
I'm past 30. So maybe by the time I'm 40, millionaire, wife and kids. Let's see. Hey, I don't care about the wife and kids as long as it's fucking millionaire.
And I guess with the fighting, I mean, no one knows when things gonna come out of lockdown. I mean, this last weekend was a positive kind of scenario. UFC finally held an event again.
Where was it?
It was in Jacksonville in Florida. They did have a bit of a scare because just before the weigh-ins, one of their fighters actually tested positive to COVID. And then later on that day, they reported that two of his cornermen also tested positive too. So I don't know how that's going to affect. But just say your manager calls you in a week, 2 weeks, and they said we can line up a fight the same way as I guess UFC have done. No crowds, no nothing. Are you up for that, or would you really want to wait until this lockdown period's over to really get back in there and give it one more slug?
3 words. Let's fucking go.
Crazy, man.
I'm ready. Whenever, anytime, anywhere. Let's fucking go.
As long as the opponent and the money and everything makes sense, 100%. Right?
It's got to make sense, brother. It's got to make sense. But I'm ready. Let's fucking go. Honestly, let's go. I'm ready. Whenever. I told Mike, let's go.
And finally, I'll just touch on, have you ever considered what you could potentially do after your fighting career? So obviously, you've been a gym owner, obviously in Tassie. Have you still got that gym, or no? You got rid of it when you moved to Sydney, right?
Yeah. After the Frenta fight, I had a bit of a mental breakdown again. I've had a few. Sold everything in Tassie. Moved up here. Sold my gym. Rented my house. Sold my car. Moved to Sydney. Best decision I've ever made. I'm happy here. I've met some great people. Friends for life.
And I guess people can stop giving you a bit of grief about being a Tasmanian, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. I'm a Sydney sider now. Nah, I'll always be a Tassie boy, always. And I love Tasmania, but it's time to get up here and do something different in my life. But after I finish boxing, I'm going to open up a state-of-the-art facility, boxing facility, gym facility. And, mate, if anyone wants to box and learn boxing, they'll come to my gym. Trust me.
So I guess the after boxing life is coaching, which is 100%. The progression, right?
100%, without a doubt.
Man, you are an absolute champion.
We're gonna do a few of these, aren't we, brother?
Mate, as soon as we're out of lockdown, I mean, obviously, if people don't know, we're totally practicing social distancing right now.
Yeah. I'm actually at my house and you're at yours.
Yeah, you're at your house and I'm at mine. But look, it's been a pleasure, and we will be keeping an eye on, obviously what's going on. I'm looking forward to obviously documenting your next fight, as we always do.
Yep.
But yeah, as soon as there's some more news, I guess we'll get you back in. We'll have a little chat.
We will. And if anyone has any questions or want me to talk about something, hit it in the comments or send us a message to Dennis from the Blue Corner podcast, and we'll get going.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Let's go.
I'm a one. I'm a one. One.